If your swimming pool has bottom drains, you can use the pump system itself, backwashing the pool to drop the water to whatever level you want, as long as you stay above the level of the bottom drains. To do that, you first have to seal the top drain. So you have to put a plug in there, and that's what we're going to do. What you see over here are two plugs that have screw-on caps that are threaded, and of course the threading here has to match what's in the bottom of your pool. And what we're going to do, we're going to take out our basket, we're going to lower this down, and of course my hand is going to block what you can see. And then we're going to use the tool to just slightly tighten down inside. So as we backwash the pool, the water, in this case, this is the shallow end, will be pulled from the bottom. We have to do exactly the same thing with the skimmer at the deep end. My pump is now running in its regular mode, which is filter, and what I'm going to be doing is shutting off in a few moments. The first thing I wanted to show you is I have now set up my line, and it goes to a drain that runs out to the street and then out to a sewer. So everything is now in position. Make certain your heater is not turned on. That is very, very critical. Your heater must be off. And switching the control so that it is in backwash position. And I'm turning the filter back on. And the water right now is being pulled from the bottom of the pool. And you can see over here the water has just come and wrapped its way underground around, and it is now going out and then going down the sewer. And then what you might notice, depending on how the glare is, right now I am backwashing the pool at the same time that I'm turning around and lowering the water. And I'm doing a very, very, very long backwash, and that is probably why our whole filtering system has lasted so many years. See in the skimmer, my shadow is over there, and you can see the water is up to the top of the wall, which means that water would not be able to go over into the skimmer. So it's very critical that these are properly sealed during this operation. You're just doing a temporary seal, and you're going to be removing that to blow lines and do the other parts. No water over here. That's bone dry. The water right now has dropped slightly below the wall. You can see how the water is now flowing perfectly clean as the water in the pool is actually lowered. Right now you can see the water has gone down quite a bit. I'm going to be taking it down below the return that you see over there. They are now screwed out. Okay, to summarize where we are, we have put the pool cover on. We have lowered the pool using the backwash function after we put seals in both of the pool returns, so that the water would be pulled from the bottom returns of the swimming pool. Now this can only be done this way if your swimming pool happens to have bottom returns. We're ready now to release the water from the filter and the heater, and to drain them and to blow the lines. This is extremely important, so I'm going to emphasize it. What I have done, we have finished getting water out of the pool, lowering the level to what we want. The idea is to keep it out of the tile, out of the coping, so that freezing will not cause things to break. But now, I have shut the circuit breaker off inside the house that controls the pool. That is so if someone accidentally hits that switch and it's outside that would turn the pump on, the pump cannot run. You cannot run a pump dry. If you run a pump dry, you will kill it. finishing up closing the pool, we need to shut off the gas that goes from the house to the pool heater over here, and there's a second shut off inside the house that we have to shut off. That will shut off the gas also going here, as well as the gas going to the barbecue upstairs. We are now ready to remove the blue backwash line that we add, and then to drain the filter, drain the heater, and then blow the lines. I'm now going to remove the plug, like this piece, anything that could fall in. And the water will just drain out. Now I'm going to be putting the strainer cups back in place to make certain that by chance if an acorn should fall from one of our trees, it doesn't go get a hole in one, because we want those lines to remain clear. We have the actual screen in now, the cup that would normally collect stuff. That's to make certain that nothing can fall into the main hole, because you don't want a clogged line. You also have to remember you have to do this twice if you have 2 skimmers, or more if you have more skimmers. And also the design of your pool can be somewhat different than the design of mine. Note the 3 bags. It says filter 1, heater 1, pump 2. When I take out the seals, which are screw-ins, I want to put them in a proper bag. And the reason for that, though they look very, very similar, they are not necessarily, and in this case they are not exactly the same. So it's very important that you put the right ones back in the right place when you go to open the pool. I'm going to screw out the one from the heater, and it's right down here. And you notice it has a rubber seal in it, and now the water from the heater is pouring out, and this is going to go into that bag and get closed. Now I'm going to be repeating this process with the ones on the pump and the one on the filter. And location-wise, the filter one in my case is down in the bottom where those leaves are, and the filter one is one up over here, and there's one underneath at the bottom. Water pouring out from the pump. To blow the lines, I use a 1/2-inch pump, and I made an end piece here that has a rubber piece on, which is the same size as the seals, aluminum tube coming out of it, so that when I press it into one of the fittings, it will go in and seal that point, and then try to pressurize, in this case, the top of the pump, and so that water will start coming out of it and also start coming out of the heater. The location placed here to pressurize the lines, and also placed here below the bottom of the heater. I'm going to let it hang so you can just see the location. Actually see the water draining from the filter. The water coming out of the bottom of the filter had just about stopped. So what I did now is I put the plug back in there. So what's happening right now is the air is pressurizing the entire filter container, and that is now pushing air through all the lines that go to the returns, where the water would return into the pool, because we're in filter mode on the lever. After 1 minute, I pulled that plug back out, and there's more water streaming out. The added pressure increased the flow over there. And after giving this a couple more minutes, I'll be ready to go to the final stages of putting the seals in. Gently blowing a little water through the relief, or if pressure for the heater. To unscrew the pressure gauge, use two wrenches, a wrench to hold here and a wrench to actually turn. The idea is if you don't hold it, you don't want to break the dome with plastic. And of course, obviously, you're doing the same thing in reverse when you put it back on. The next step is to take these seals and put a little lubricant on them, and then to shove them inside down so they seal both parts of the line. And after you've dried, push it in by turning and tightening the screw here. You're locking it down, so you're expanding it slightly so that it's tight, and doing it in both the deep and the shallow, and then to put this in the return, the deep and shallow, after adding some lubricant to it also. It's now installed. The next thing I'm going to be putting is 2 blocks of wood, and the purpose of the wood is to prevent anything from breaking. So in other words, as the water goes, it will eventually come in here, and it expands as it freezes. The wood prevents the water from building up enough pressure to break things. The last step is also putting wood blocks in the drain over here, and so that the concrete cauldron doesn't get broken. Blocks are installed. My design is such that the water will not be prevented from going out through the piping. The last step is you need to do something to protect the motor of the system, because if water gets into that motor and freezes, it will most likely destroy the motor. Now, initially what we used to do is unbolt it. There are 4 bolts holding it, and store it inside. But as the pool system really aged, it became harder and harder with warpage, aging of the plastic, to get a good tight seal. So we decided to leave it permanently attached, and I created a way of closing off the openings you see at the bottom of the heater. Now, you could design the same thing for yours if you want to, or you take the motor off. And the motor, of course, has a ground wire on it, and it's plugged in. Now I have here set up, and they're marked for the side closest to the heater and for the side furthest away from the heater, because of the actual design of our motor and what it takes to be able to wrap it and seal it. We're going to do that now. What you see here now, it's installed. I bought a very, very large rubber seal that would be used to really connect a very, very large sewer pipe. I cut it in half. It's wrapped around, but not so that it will touch each other. And then using a very, very, very large hose clamp, I now have tightened it, and what that has done, it has sealed the holes that are on the bottom of the motor, and the only openings to the motor itself are now completely all sealed. This side's a little bit more complicated because of the shape of the piece on top of the motor, but it's the same concept. But I just have it where that rubber piece is very, very tightly, and it's been cut to adjust for the different parts, like that's where the electrical wire comes in. And the same idea that the clamp is now making it so that there's huge pressure at the bottom where that is completely tightened, and those openings are sealed so nothing can get in. So the pool is now closed, and the next thing that I will be recording in this case will be how to open the pool and how to reverse all the things that we've done. To prevent animals from coming into the heater and deciding to make this a home for winter and eating the wires, I place mothballs inside. The mothballs do have to come out when we got to open the pool. Very, very critical, because I believe mothballs are flammable. To take the cover off, there are 4 bolts you see up there. They just have to be removed.